Good evening. This meeting of the Essex County Board of Chosen Freeholders is hereby called to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Freeholder Graham?
Here.
Freeholder Johnson?
Here.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado?
Here.
Freeholder Pomares?
Here.
Freeholder Richardson?
Here.
Freeholder Siebel?
Here.
Freeholder President Gill?
Here. I'm going to ask that we please stand for our salute to the flag. I'm going to ask Freeholder Johnson to please lead us in the salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I ask that you please remain standing for a moment of silence. Thank you. I have before me certification from the clerk that this meeting is in compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Madam Clerk, are there any transcripts to be approved?
Mr. President, there is one. Conference Board meeting, January 7, 2020.
Okay. Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments?
Motion.
Moved by Freeholder
Second.
Cooper, second by Freeholder Pomares. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper?
Yes.
Freeholder Graham?
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson?
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano, absent. Freeholder Mercado?
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares?
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson?
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel?
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill?
Yes.
So moved.
Madam Clerk, are there any topics of discussion?
Mr. President, there are none.
Okay. Let's move to our public comment session. Tonight's meeting is a combined conference board meeting, and we will vote on every item on the agenda. So if there's any member of the public who would like to comment on an agenda item, please come to the microphone, state your name and affiliation for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to speak.
Adam Kramer, West Orange, New Jersey. I wish to speak about a group of agenda items, 1, 2, 4, 5, and other resolutions related to spending, and the resolutions relating to memorandums of understanding with the unions. The point that I want to make is, looking at the agenda, and my numbers may be inaccurate because I don't have the most up-to-date agenda, the total spending exclusive of the union memorandums is well over $4 million. And the memos of understanding will have a fiscal impact well north of $6 or $7 million. The purpose I'm bringing this up is I just want to make sure that the freeholders are cognizant about what they're spending and its fiscal impact relative to the tax base. And although I do respect that our county workers have to be paid and paid fairly, and you have to negotiate with them in good faith, these contracts and these memos of understanding, you also have an obligation to make sure that in the process you don't outstrip the ability of the tax base to cover these. I thank you.
Thank you.
Chris Taylor, Union Representative, IBW, Local 1158. I'm always forced to speak at this point. I need to make sure that the freeholders and everyone understand that the union workers here in the county of Essex, most of them with 15, 20 years here, are dedicated employees who, over the last 10 or 15 years, as the county has shrunk the workforce, but not the amount of work, have absorbed all of that work onto themselves and have done it above and beyond everything that has been asked of them. They were hindered under the one of the previous administrations in Trenton and how they could negotiate. This administration bargained, thankfully, in good faith with all of the unions this time to reach an accord that was not a hindrance to the county itself or in any way to harm the members, but indeed gave them a fair and equitable share of what was going on and so that they can provide for their families. Their insurance rates are going up, their cost of living going up. Everything was going up but their salaries. The current administration under County Executive DiVincenzo saw that, negotiated in good faith with the unions, and we're here now and hope that you support all of the union applications on this agenda. Thank you.
Mama Meow, and what I want to talk about is the Scouts. I thought this was a great night tonight to see all those youth ready to do something and to make a difference. We need to get more youth involved in something of that nature with Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, 4-H Club, get the humane education back into the schools. I commend Carlos, the freeholder, that brought this to show the youth, because that's what we need to do. Get mentors and people to appreciate what these youth are doing. So thank you very much for letting me see this. It made me feel overjoyed with happiness to see the youth involved. Thank you.
Good evening, freeholders. Douglas Freeman, Newark, New Jersey. I'm speaking on behalf of item number 1, that's on the agenda. One of the concerns that we do have as far as Weekway Park in the Essex County parks when it comes to rules and regulations is the permit holders are not taking care of our properties. So when you have one permit holder that comes in first, they leave in bottles, they leave in bottle tops, they leave in trash on the fields. When the second person comes in to use the field, they have to clean up. So before the children or any of the people who have paid these permit fees have to even start to perform on the hours that they have in their slots, they have to take care of this. Perfect example, when you look at the fields that we put in Weekway Park, one of the football fields, we just speak on that one, there's 60 to 100 bottles each day. And it got to the point where we went to a summit with the city on recycle, and they donated some cans. We was able to reduce the waste that's on the field by 60%. Just last week, I guess a few people did not like the fact that the community works with the county in the manner that we do. They took the garbage cans, the recycle cans, stacked them up, and threw them in the garbage, and took off the logos that the city put there because it was a partnership with the city. We need regulation in the parks. Weekway Park, we just went to a meeting this week, and the community business people on Freely and Heisen Avenue are impressed at the amount of work that's being put in. Now, they want to now start offering and create a special improvement district on Freely and Heisen Avenue and start doing their part. So we need the county to lead again with the community so that we can regulate our parks, that it does not take someone who do not care about the fields and leave the trash there. They need to have some type of maybe deposit or something that is going to show them that, look, if you leave our fields this way, not only are you going to be suspended, but from using the fields, you're going to pay us for the cleanup, because our children have been doing it for over 8 years. Thank you.
You gotta chop it here. Up and down. Squeeze the mic down. There you go.
My name is Sean Williams. I came here to speak for Weekway Park to build on what Uncle Doug Freeman. Because the football field have a whole bunch of bottle caps that mess up the turf, and when you have games on the field, people get injured because there's a whole bunch of trash on the field. Thank you.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let the record reflect that there is no one wishing to speak at this time. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions for introduction and first reading?
Mr. President, we have one.
Okay, Madam Clerk, can we please read ordinance number 1 to the record?
Ordinance 1, an ordinance establishing rules and regulations for the safety, protection, and conduct of persons used in Essex County parks, reservations, recreational facilities, and other open space property.
Mr. Jackson.
Good evening, Mr. President, members of the board. Assistant County Counsel Dedlin is here. Dedlin is here to address this item.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mr. President, Freeholder Board. Lena Dedgel, Section Chief of the Essex County Counsel's Office. The proposed ordinance that is before you this evening comes as a result of a request that was made to our office from the Department of Parks, in addition with the Essex County Sheriff's Department and the Parks Department, to update the existing rules and regulations that are currently in effect governing the use of Essex County parks and property in 2013. For the most part, the substance of the proposed ordinance is parallel to the one that is currently in effect. However, there were revisions that needed to change. For example, stylistically, language was changed to aid interpretation. There's additional 14 definitions. The ordinance is broken down to 10 different articles by topic to make it more user-friendly, and obviously legal authority citations were necessary. Provisions were added regarding hours of operations for specific parks versus reservations. Provisions were also added regarding enforcement of parking and motor vehicle traffic, as well as giving enforcement authority to the Essex County Sheriff's Department to enforce these rules and regulations. And as a result of changes in New Jersey state law, changes were necessary to address the usage of drones as well as fireworks. Several minor changes included domestic animals such as dogs, where they're allowed to be, and they had to be leashed. There were other minor changes, including the ban on commercial vehicles with some exceptions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Palavecchio?
Mr. President, I had a chance to sit down with Lena and County Counsel's office and go through this. Essentially, this is cleaning up some inconsistencies and some outdated things that were hampering the Sheriff's Office's ability to enforce the rules and regulations in the park system. And I think some of those things were increasing or adding to the liability of the county. So this is tightening that up. This is making a uniform set of rules and regulations. Not only that's important for enforcement, but important for the users of the park to know what the rules of the road are literally before they get in and use the parks.
Mr. McInerney?
I don't have any questions, Mr. President.
Okay. Freeholders. Vice President Richardson.
Through you, Mr. President, haven't had an opportunity to speak with our council and county council and BA. And listening to Mr. Freeman, who's in the park on a regular basis, I think it does make sense to have some type of a deposit for folks to clean up. And if they don't clean up, they lose the deposit on top of their permit price. And I didn't think about the possibility of suspension. I think that'll get all of the people who get a permit, that will get their attention, and there's a possibility that they could be suspended for a period of time and not able to use the park. So I certainly would like to flush this out a little more.
Courtney Gassione, Essex County Council, through you, Mr. President. So I think it's a very valid point. I do think that there does need to be some additional teeth to enforce cleanup after an event in our parks. I think that the additional fee attached to a permit does make sense, as well as potentially losing privileges. But the Parks Department did just bring to my attention, this may be something that's more appropriate for our fee ordinance, which does address our permit fees. So while this ordinance is governing the different parks logistical issues, perhaps what we need to look at is an amendment or an addition to our fee ordinance, our parks fee ordinance, to include the additional permitting requirement fee in the event that a cleanup doesn't take place. So as I indicated to Freeholder Richardson as well as Freeholder Council, I'm happy to take this back to our Parks Director to flesh that out and see if that is something that's amenable to him. I would expect that he would be happy to have some additional enforcement at the ready in order to ensure that our citizens who are using the parks are responsible after they've concluded an event. So we can further discuss, I can certainly further discuss with Freeholder Council the more appropriate place to put that particular section, and it may in fact be more appropriate in our fee ordinance rather than in this particular ordinance.
Thank you.
Okay, Freeholder Siebel?
I have a question. Is this the first time since 2013 that the rules and regulations have been updated?
Yes. Through you, Mr. President, yes it is.
Thank you.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments?
I'll move it.
Okay, moved by Freeholder Siebel.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, this is a motion, a second to introduce ordinance number 1. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano absent. Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to ordinances or resolutions for listing purposes only. Do we have any, Madam Clerk?
Mr. President, we have none.
Okay, thank you. Madam Clerk, do we have any ordinances or resolutions on second reading and public hearing tonight?
Yes, Mr. President, we have 2. Ordinance O-2020-0004 and Ordinance O-2020-0005.
Okay, Madam Clerk, let's move to ordinance number O-2020-0004 and read it into the record at a later time. I hereby declare that the public hearing on ordinance O-2020-0004 open. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this ordinance, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay. Okay, hearing and seeing none. Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions or comments?
I have no questions on this.
Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
I don't.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments? I just a comment to thank the administration. I think this, the naming of this building after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is very appropriate. And again, thank you and thank the administration for doing that. Seeing or hearing no additional questions or comments.
Second.
Moved by Freeholder Siebel, second by.
And that's to close the public hearing.
And that's to move Vice President Richardson. That was a mover and a second to close the public hearing. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance? Okay, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, can you just, what are we voting on?
Ordinance number,
I have it, Madam Clerk.
Okay.
It's ordinance O-2020-00004,
Yes.
naming the new building.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's move to ordinance number 2020-00005, and we can read it into the record at a later time. I hereby declare that the public hearing is open on ordinance O-2020-00005 open. If there's any member of the public who would like to comment for or against this ordinance, please come to the microphone and state your name and affiliation for the record. You will have 3 minutes to speak. Okay, seeing none. Mr. McInerney, do you have any questions or comments?
I have no questions, Mr. President.
Mr. Parlavecchio, do you have any questions or comments?
No questions.
Freeholders, do you have any questions or comments?
Motion.
Okay, we have a move by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder Graham. That's a motion and a second to close the public hearing on ordinance O-2020-0005. Do I have the same mover and second to approve the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions number 1 through 3, which are in the Parks, Recreation, and Cultural Affairs. We can read them into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson, let's work through resolution 1 through 3.
Mr. Zates is here to address these items, Mr. President.
Wow, he's first tonight. How did that happen?
Joshua Zates, Essex County Parks. I'm being there. My last name starts with a Z. For me to go first is very, very rare. Item number 1 is approval of subgrant agreements for the 2020 Local History Program in the amount of $34,027. This is for 15 recipients throughout the county. The awards are ranging from $500 to over $3,000 for the various recipients. Would you like me just to go through all three? Or?
Let's do number 2 and number 3 as well. Thank you.
Number 2 is a sub-grant agreement with the 2020 local arts programs in the amount of $130,455,000. This is for a total of 40 recipients with awards ranging from $300 to $5,000. And number 3 is a local aid grant agreement with the City of Newark in amount of $300,000 for the Wars of America statue over in Military Park. Back in 2016, the Open Space Trust Fund Advisory Board approved a grant in the amount of $300,000. It was then brought to the freeholders in May of 2016, who approved the funding, and now this is the actual agreement with Newark to do that particular work.
Okay. Mr. Parlavecchio?
Yeah, Mr. Zates, just to reiterate on number 3, the funding is already in place. There's no additional funding for this agreement. This is just the actual the mechanics of putting the agreement together.
Through you, Mr. President, that is correct.
Thank you.
Mr. McInerney?
No questions.
Freeholders, questions or comments? Freeholder Siebold? Move it. Well, we have a motion. We have a motion, second by Freeholder Cooper. We're going to take resolutions 1, 2, and 3 as one. Madam Clerk, roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Sebo.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions 4 through 5, which are in Public Works. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Antonio is here to address these, Mr. President.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Item number 4 is a contract change order with Comito Associates for an additional architectural engineering design services for the new building, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Justice Building in the Hall of Records, an additional amount not to exceed $420,000. This contract modification will allow the county to complete the architectural and engineering services to the more than 30,000 square feet of improvements which have been identified in this very building here, the Hall of Records. To go into greater detail and answer any questions, we do have Lori Sabarazzi from Comito and Associates here. She can introduce the scope of work in more detail and answer any questions.
Good evening. I'm Lori Shabarazzi from Comito Architects. I've been a principal there for, oh my goodness, almost 30 years. We're located here in Newark. We've done various projects for the county. We're excited to be involved with this one. So there's about 30,000 square feet of office relocation space here in the Hall of Records building. There's a portion on the first floor. On the first floor, we'll be moving in Community Health Department. They have an IDRC program, which is being relocated to the first floor, and also senior services. On the second floor, it's almost the entire floor will be utilized for landlord-tenant waiting areas and office space. It's going to take up almost the entire second floor. And on the fourth floor, space that's become vacant for the new building, we will have space for more community health offices and some small portion for the county administration.
Thank you. Mr. Parlecchio?
I don't have any questions.
Mr. McInerney?
This is below the 20%, which would apply in the local public contracts law, that if it's over that, there'd be other issues involved, but it's all out of capital funding as well.
Freeholder Seabold?
Thank you. I'm very pleased it's going to Comito Associates because they've done absolutely wonderful work for the county.
Thank you.
And I'm sure they will do a great job with this.
Okay. Freeholder's additional questions or comments? Do I have a mover?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Seabold.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
You going to give anyone a chance to vote?
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper. Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolution number 5. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. Antonio.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. Resolution number 5 is a 1-year contract in the amount not to exceed of $159,500 to Matt McDonald to provide environmental services. Just to give you a taste of what some of the services could be or will be, things like asbestos and hazardous material assessments, coordination between asbestos and hazardous material, removal of such, remediation of such, ensuring that we're abiding by all NJDP regulations related to environmental issues, monitoring wells, USTs. But I do have Mr. Robert Trapp here of Matt McDonald to introduce the firm himself and what could be expected from his company in the next year.
Good evening. My name is Rob Trepp. I'm from Mount McDonald. This contract would allow us to support the Department of Public Works and environmental services and engineering for various properties. The services were mentioned previously. A lot of it is ongoing DEP compliance and permit compliance. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Parlecchio?
No questions.
Mr. McInerney?
I just have one question to the administration. There was one other proposal that came in. All the others were higher except one. That was Excel Environmental, which scored 1,060 in accumulated points as opposed to 1,245 that Mont McDonald scored. What was the variance there that outside of price that Excel scored less?
Can you repeat the question?
The question is, there are 14 proposals here, of which Mont McDonald is accumulated points were 1,245, the highest. Their bid cost proposal was $159,500. There was only one other cost proposal that came in less by 9,000. They scored 1,060. Outside of price, what was the reason why the lower bid scored less in the evaluation?
So when Hatch McDonald has a relationship with this county. They have a proven historic track record. They have the level of professionals demonstrated with the proper licensing and their documentation submitted to us. And we have limited experience with Excel Environmental Resources, which is the second, I guess. Well, actually, the actual lowest would be Excel. But for a margin of $9,000, we'd rather have a company that has a track record of providing, meeting our deadlines, producing the quality product that we need to keep pulling our projects forward. And that's something that has been demonstrated with Matt McDonald.
Understood. Thank you.
Okay, freeholders.
Mr. President.
Freeholder Palmaris.
Thank you. I'm very happy to see that we have environmental expertise involved in any of the works that we do. And in particular, you had mentioned that the scope of your work deals a lot with compliance, with state DEP and et cetera. Is there any other work that you do just based on recommendations, based on your findings or review of any of our sites? That really is not necessarily DEP compliance, but you see issues that we can make improvements.
Yeah, some other things beyond DEP is we do a lot of work with asbestos, abatement and removal, and making sure issues related to that are taken care of. And any other, when we work on a property, if we notice other environmental issues, we bring them to the county's attention.
Okay, so it's not simply just certification, but actively looking for any issues that, given your realm of expertise, you will
right
identify.
as the contract indicates for various facilities. So as issues arise, whether it be during a construction project or something, this contract allows us to handle environmental issues that may or may be encountered.
Thank you.
To you, Mr. President. My question is, had it been 29,000, this is for the administration, had it been 29,000 less, would that have made a difference? Because you said because it was only 9,000.
Because it's only 9,000.
So that's not my question. My question, if it was 29,000.
Name for the record, please.
Would that have made any difference? Because you cited their history, working with the county, and the things that they bring to the table, you already know what they can do. So had that amount been more, would you still have the same?
Name for the record, please.
David Antonio, Department of Public Works. The consultant review committee is not one person; it's more than one person. So I can't answer exactly what will happen, but I do know that at some point, dollar amount of money must be considered. That is why the money is listed along with the score of the respondent to the RFP. In this case, our experience with this company is tremendous. They demonstrated that they satisfied all the requirements.
I get all of that. I have no problem. With this, I have no problem with this particular company. They do great work. I agree with you, but that's not my question. So, when does lowest responsible get thrown out of the window? Because you have a track record with a particular company. So if that's what you go by, and so new companies will never get an opportunity.
Mr. President, through you, this is an RFP which, when they are scoring it, it's managerial, technical, and price. Price is very often not the highest scoring mark. So if this was $50,000 and the managerial and the technical information was significantly better on any one of these companies, then they could have used the highest price or the lowest. It's not always regarding price.
So it's really based on, is subjective as to whether or not you have a relationship with a particular company and you like their work.
Everybody has to be treated the same. If the example would be technically, Matt McDonald had more specialized asbestos people, then they may give them, the Department of Public Works may give them a higher score versus another company on the list who may only have 2 employees, but somebody doesn't have a specific degree or something on that.
So was that the criteria, or you just making that up?
No,
you just pulling that out of the air?
No, I'm telling you how it is scored.
So
I
that's
don't
how
have
this was scored?
It should have been that.
More asbestos professionals?
I don't know. I can show you the scoring sheets.
Right. So you shouldn't cite that if that's not a fact.
No, that was an example.
Right.
Freeholder.
Give me the facts. Thank you.
Mr. President.
Mr. McInerney?
I just would ask Freeholder Vice President Richard, we've asked for the evaluation scores at time, and the administration has always been forthwith. So if that's something we could take a look at.
Sure.
If you'd like. So
Yeah, and
I'm
we
gonna
need
make
to
the
see who's
request.
on those committees as well.
I'm going to make the request
Who's
for
making
those
these
evaluations.
decisions?
Yeah, thank you. Mr. McInerney, I mean, I would absolutely like to do that and have those actually shared with, through the clerk with the full board. Because we have had those from time to time when we've requested them, but in these types of situations, then also Vice President Richard, your point to not only the scoring, but who's scoring it would be helpful. So Freeholder Cooper, did I see you have a question? Okay. Additional questions or comments, Freeholders?
Motion.
Moved by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to resolutions number 6 through 13, 6 through 17, which are all in the office of the county council and covering our various collective bargaining unit MOAs for 2020 through 2023. We'll read them into the record at a later time and go through them individually, but we'll vote on them as a block. So, Mr. Jackson.
Director of Labor Relations, Robin McGrath, is here to address these items, Mr. President.
Okay, thank you.
Robin McGrath, Director of Labor Relations. Good evening, Freeholder President and Freeholder Board. I'm here to present 12 memorandums of agreements for you. I can walk through each one for you so you know which is which. But they all ultimately have the same wage increases and minor contractual changes. Some of the changes would be practices that have been in place for 20 years that are simply being put into writing, and other changes are procedural changes that are minor throughout each department. So number 6 would be the first memorandum agreement between IBEW and the County of Essex. This is the main contract.
I'm sorry, before, I'm going to see maybe we can ask Mr. Parlavecchio and Mr. McInerney to comment first, then see if the board would like them to go through each of them individually. These have all been agreed to by the collective bargaining units, which I think is important to highlight, and not opposed to going through them one and another if the board would like to go through each individual contract. But I'm going to turn it over to you, Mr. Parlavecchio. Sure.
Ms. McGrath, you did say that of these 12 agreements, they all have the same wage increases for the same time period, 2020 through 2023. Can you just break that out, what the annual increases are?
Through you, Mr. President, sure. For the year 2020, the wage increase will be 2.8% increase to the base salary. For the year 2021, the wage increase will be a 2.9% increase to the base salary. For the year 2022, the wage increase will be a 3% increase to the base salary. And for 2022, 2021, 2023, excuse me, the increase will be a 3% increase to the base salary. So 2.8, then 2.9, 3%, 3%.
And the contract that just expired, was that also a 4-year agreement?
That was a modification to the 2017 contract with a 2-year extension for 2018 and 19.
Okay.
Expiring December 31st, 2019. Okay. So we have 12 contracts presented. There are 8 that are IBW 1158 contracts. There are 3 that are Local 68 contracts, and there is 1 which is the FOP 205, which is the Prosecutor Superior Officer's contract. And they all include those same wage increases, and some include no other changes to the contracts.
And those increases to the base, the steady increments, the steady increase over the 4 years, where do those percent increases compare to the prior agreement?
The prior agreement, the modification for 2017 originally was at 2% in the original agreement. The modification was an increase of 0.20. So for 2017, it was 2.20. For 2018, it was 2.25%. And for 2019, it was a 2.25% increase.
Thank you.
And this, these 12 contracts cover about 1,100 employees throughout the County of Essex.
That's the only question I have.
Mr. McInerney.
Mr. President, I again have gone through all these contracts, and those wage increases on a percentage basis are all the same. The agreements do outline the 4-year impact on the budget that each one of these contracts will have. I have no other questions than that.
Thank you, Mr. McInerney. Freeholders? Additional questions or comments?
I'd like to move it, Mr. President.
I do want to ask one
I think
question.
we have one question,
one
Vice
question.
President
Go
Richardson,
ahead,
if you'd like to.
You guys are quick to move things today. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm outgunned here. Am I right? My question was just simple, but how does this 4-year agreement compare to other counties similar to ours? If you would know that, I'm sorry, that may be.
Nope. So we did an analysis through the assistance of some outside counsel at one point, but we did look at other counties and municipalities throughout the state of New Jersey for the next few years, and the averages we were seeing were about a 2.4% increase. There are some exceptions that you may see throughout Essex County municipalities that may be higher, but many counties you may even see lower. So we did find that there was about a 2.4% increase over the next few years.
And have there been 4-year agreements, or have there been 2-year?
Some have been 6-year agreements.
Okay.
So the agreements vary in their length of term.
Okay, thank you.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments? Okay, Vice President Richardson, you moved it. Do I have a second? Second by Freeholder Mercado. Roll call, Madam Clerk. This is Resolution 6 through 17.
Okay. Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution number 18, which we can read into the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson?
Item number 18, Mr. President.
Yes.
Yes, Warden Anderson is here from the Correctional Facility to address this item.
Thank you.
Good evening, freeholders. Mr. President, through you. William Anderson, Warden, Essex County Correctional Facility, Department of Corrections. We're asking for the 2-year extension on a contract between the county and SDA Laundry Tech LLC. The Laundry Tech services provide repairs to our main laundry and to machines that are on the units which our wards use daily. So we have a supply of laundry machines that, when they're damaged, they get taken downstairs, and then Laundry Tech repairs them, and then they're put back upstairs.
Great, thank you. Mr. Palavecchio?
Just quickly, so Warden, this is just a mechanical contract. This has nothing to do with the doing the laundry or sending the laundry out?
No, sir. It's just a mechanical repair contract.
And does the county own those machines? I only ask because sometimes they are leased and the company that owns them is the company that repairs them.
I am unsure of that, but I could get back to the freeholders if necessary.
Mr. McInerney?
The labor contract on here is $100 per hour for the actual labor time and $80 per hour for travel time. Do you know how much was expended in the previous year?
Through you, Mr. President, it was $102,000. $219,000.
Thank you.
Freeholders, additional Questions, comments? Freeholder Palmeris.
Thank you, sir. Just perspective, how many machines, I would imagine this is something that's used, it's constantly running, right? There's a lot of work involved here. How many machines do we have approximately? And I would imagine that's a substantial operation.
So in our main laundry room, there are, I want to say, 4 washing machines and 4 dryers. That's where all of the blankets, these are industrial sized machines.
So this is an oversized, this is not your at-home washer and dryer. This is, explain, can you give me the scale? Like, this is a big machine, right?
It's an industrial machine. I wouldn't know measurements of the machines, but I want to say that they are industrial machines. The washers and the dryers are industrial. Now on the units, we have smaller machines. And those machines are the ones that come down to be repaired as well. So, because those are the machines that only used to wash clothing items, not the bulky items that come down to the main laundry.
Is it the machine that take the bulky use that get more abuse? Is that what seems to be the case, or is it fairly split?
Actually, it's fairly split, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Freeholders, additional questions or comments?
Motion.
Okay, moved by Freeholder Cooper, second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to Resolution 19 through 22, which are in the Office of the Sheriff. We can read them to the record at a later time. Mr. Jackson.
Mr. President, items 19 and 20 are related. Item 19 is an authorization for the board to apply for and accept the sub-grant agreement, award, I should say, in amount of $55,000. And the item 20 is the temporary emergency appropriation from New Jersey in the amount of $55,000, and we provide a $55,000 in-kind match in the form of salary and wages. And this grant enhances the ability to respond to and cover from acts of terrorism, natural disasters, and other emergencies.
Okay, Mr. Parlavecchio.
No questions on 19 or 20.
Okay, Mr. McInerney.
No questions.
Freeholders, any questions on 19 or
Do you want to take it to 22, the end of the sheriff's office?
20? Why don't, yeah, thank you, Mr. Parlavecchio. Why don't we,
22?
yeah, why don't we do 22? Thank you. Number 21 has been withdrawn.
Yes, 22, Mr. President, is a contract award to Atlantic Tactical to provide for ammunition, various amounts of 9mm and other ammunition for the Sheriff's Office that's used for service weapons and for requalification. And this complies with the board's 2015 ordinance in the amount of $23,130.70.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson. Mr. Parlavecchio?
No questions.
Freeholders, 19 through 22, 21 being withdrawn.
I'll move it.
I'm sorry, I skipped Mr. McInerney. Did you have any additional questions on 22?
I don't, no.
Okay.
Moved by Mercado.
We have a mover by Freeholder Mercado, second by Freeholder Johnson. Roll call, Madam Clerk. We are on 19 through 22.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Palmares.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Okay, thank you, Madam Clerk. Moving to resolutions 23 through 27, which are in the Office of the Prosecutor. Mr. Jackson.
Yes, Mr. President. 23 is an emergency appropriation from the state for the Office of Insurance Fraud, the Prosecutor's Office, again in the amount of $250,000. It represents the salary and fringe benefits for 75% of that for one assistant prosecutor and one investigator, and a stipend of $2,500 for travel and training. 24 is a contract award to Whitman Public Safety to provide for various amounts of ammunition, semi-automatic pistols and magazines for the prosecutor's office in the amount of $21,375. And again, all these comply with the 2015 ordinance. And item number 25 is to provide different brands or varieties, I should say, of pistols, semi-automatic pistols and magazines for the prosecutor's office in the amount of $6,577.50. And again, it complies with the 2015 ordinance.
That was 23, 24, 25, 26 and 27, Mr. Jackson, or do we?
Well, sure, I'm happy to, Mr. President. Resolution 26 is a resolution which is federal dollars that's coming through the state for Operation Helping Hand. It is used as a program to help individuals who are opioid dependent and subject to criminal arrest, and it will arrange for treatment in lieu of incarceration. This is funding an amount of $62,500. Item 27, temporary emergency appropriation from the state of New Jersey, again for Operation Helping Hand, which is connected to the item number 26, and this is in the same amount of $62,500, and this is the accompanying budget insertion.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Parlavecchio.
No question on these.
Mr. McInerney?
No question.
Freeholders?
Can I move this one?
Moved by Freeholder Pomeranz, second. We're taking resolutions 23 through 27, which are all in the office of the prosecutor. Moved by Freeholder Pomeranz, second by Freeholder Cooper? Okay. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes, however, for 26 and 27, I no vote.
Okay, 26.
And 27.
Okay.
Freeholder, are you a no vote or present not voting?
Present not voting, I'm sorry.
Okay. Freeholder Pomeranz.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you. Moving to resolution number 28, which is a freeholder resolution. Our bylaws, Mr. Parlavecchio.
Right, this just cleans up something we missed on the first go-round in the reorganization meeting, and it just provides the same 3 minutes for public comment at the front of the meeting as at the rear of the meeting as it does in the front of the meeting.
Okay. Freeholders, questions or comments?
I'll move it.
Moved by Freeholder Mercado, second by Freeholder Siebold. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomeranz.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Moving to resolutions 29 through 40, which are commendations and memoriam resolutions. Moved by Freeholder Cooper.
Second.
Second by Freeholder Graham. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Freeholder Cooper.
Yes.
Freeholder Graham.
Yes.
Freeholder Johnson.
Yes.
Freeholder Luciano.
Yes.
Freeholder Mercado.
Yes.
Freeholder Pomeranz.
Yes.
Freeholder Vice President Richardson.
Yes.
Freeholder Siebel.
Yes.
Freeholder President Gill.
Yes.
So moved.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Reports of board committees. Legislative reports. Written communication. Unfinished business. New business. Public comment.
Good evening. I'd like to discuss, I'm on the I'd like to discuss, I want to thank very much the freeholders to support the trap return and neuter with the AHS mobile unit. The only thing is I have a problem with is already February, the month is already filled, and what I'm worried about is will all the counties be able to be taken care of, especially the counties in need? Irvington, East Orange, Newark. Orange has some kind of system already that I heard through. The other issue I have is we need a professional trapper. And the reason why I say that, you have never been trapping, but it's very difficult to trap a cat. And not only that, if an unprofessional person does that, they can trap a raccoon, they can trap a possum, or they could get hurt trapping, even though you teach them. Where a professional trapper will be able to get the job done. Irvington needs a professional trapper. I have discussed this with Council President Renee C. Burgess. She sees the definite need for it because we know the residents aren't that qualified to be able to trap a cat, and we need to do this because Irvington has the serious problems with the cats that need to be trapped, neutered, vaccinated, and returned. And I know Romaine Greer knows the problem. It does exist, and I know that Cooper, Freeholder Cooper knows East Orange as that exists, and also Newark. We need to step up. I am very proud that I'm telling everybody that you have made the step to give us seed money. I don't expect, you gave quite a bit of $25,000. Everybody is dancing. You should see the internet and everybody putting it on there. Look what they've done. You really have made accolades for all the rescue groups and the various trap and return people. But please consider a professional trapper. I have a person that wanted to come tonight. She trapped a cat, and unfortunately, she was at the vet, and she had to put it down. It had to be euthanized because it was in bad shape. She couldn't make the meeting. But she's interested not as a salary. She's not worrying about having, $25,000 or doing just in trapping. But she would like to do it as possibly just to cover her expenses because she's dedicated to help cats in need. Montclair has no problems. Bloomfield has no problems. Bloomfield has its shelter. They have people that are back there. Not as serious as the
30
Irvington
seconds.
and all the various cities and towns in need. Thank you again for support, but there are kinks, and we need to work it out. Thank you again, and meow, meow, from all the cats.
Matt Dragon, West Orange. I asked at an earlier meeting about the County Executive Joe D's mail-only trip to Puerto Rico last weekend. The response was that it was, quote, not a governmental or political trip, and therefore none of my questions were answered. So a few follow-up questions for formal response tonight. Will you then confirm that no county resources were used in relation to this trip? The executive's driver and vehicle were not used to get him to or from the airport. No one on the county staff coordinated the logistics, made reservations, or communicated with the executive about his travel details. No one on the county staff emailed or called any of the attendees using county phones or email accounts to discuss the trip, communicate invitations, or confirm attendance. Did the county executive perform any county business while on his trip? Have any county staff been given tasks to follow up on as a result of this trip? On a separate topic, I emailed you last week with the Gothamist WNYC coverage by Matt Katz detailing claims from several on-the-record named ICE detainees in the ECCF. These detainees claim that they were being denied medical care, had medical care delayed, or were provided substandard care. In some cases, these detainees were not even taken to the medical unit. In others, the medical unit claims ICE is slow to approve requests for tests and specialist visits. Have you been able to investigate this since it was published and I shared it last week? If so, what have you learned? What will you continue to do to hold the county and ECCF administrations accountable until the task force is fully operational? And a question for the administration, how much of the ICE money goes to medical care of the ICE detainees? Joe D is responsible for the ICE and county prisoners, anyone else we put in that jail, and the jail staff. In addition, you are responsible, the task force is responsible, we are responsible, and I am responsible. I don't take that lightly, and I hope you demonstrate your commitment by thoroughly investigating these serious accusations. Thank you.
Adam Kramer, West Orange, New Jersey. Because Ms. Graham was not here last week, I wanted to officially go on the record and congratulate her on defeating me by a wide margin in the election of last November, and congratulate her on her victory. The main reason I'm here relates to what's going on with the zoo and the amphitheater. For those of us who live in West Orange and the surrounding communities, a lot of people are talking about it, and a lot of people are not really happy with what's going on at the zoo in terms of the amphitheater and expansion. A little historical perspective. Approximately a decade ago, the administration went to the voters of the county and through a plebiscite got the voters to approve an open space fund. It was sold that it would be preserving watershed and open space and protecting the environment. At the time, I did not vote for it or support it because I thought the funds might not be used as stated. A lot of that has been used to pave over parking lots, build parking decks, and things that aren't really related to directly related to protecting the environment. A lot of people around the zoo and surrounding communities are not happy with this. I urge the freeholders to reconsider the zoo expansion, reconsider the amphitheater, and realize that sometimes bigger and grander for a zoo is not necessarily what's best for the environment or best for the people of Essex County. Thank you.
Paul Alfano, Department of Public Works, 33 years. Wearing a American flag on your lapel doesn't make you a good American. All these folks coming out here speaking, the people for ICE, whether you agree with them or not, they're good Americans. They're exercising their First Amendment right. The people speaking out about the voting machines, they're good Americans. Speaking out, exercising their First Amendment right. When I spoke out, exercised my First Amendment right, about my Fourth Amendment right being violated, Director of Public Works, Sanjeev Vargas, they went to my workmates and he spoke to them and told them that I was coming here and speaking out, and it wasn't in their best interest, and that he could privatize their jobs, and he pretty much encouraged them to vote me out as shop steward, and that's what they did. This needs to be on the record. This was about a year ago in February, but it needs to be on the record. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. President Gill and Board of Children Freeholders. My name is Maggie Freeman. I'm coming today in two capacities. Right now as South Ward 45th District Leader. The constituents are concerned about the two intersections, Lyons Avenue and Parkview Terrace and Chancellor Avenue and Parkview, where there's currently blinking lights. They're looking for this to be upgraded to actual traffic lights for safety purposes. In the last 5 years, I'm sure that the City of Newark and the Sheriff Department can attest to the accidents or the amount of accidents that have happened at those two corridors. And we definitely want someone to look into it, another traffic study. I believe the last one was done in 2016. Definitely it's outdated and needs to be looked into. The second concern would be on the school corridors where there aren't any blinking lights for the children. There are increased traffic concerns in the area with the hospital and a lot of construction going on in the area, a lot of new builds. So of course that increases the amount of people that are in the area. So we're looking for visibility with the school zoning so that maybe even a little raised markers in the road, something to protect our children. The second capacity is the Weequahic Park Sports Authority Director. We currently have definitely an issue with the litter and garbage. We want to see not necessarily an increased sheriff presence, something more like an internship with like park rangers to give the youth an opportunity to really be stakeholders in the community. So even if that's something in the spring and summer months, you know, that they can issue citations, maybe it's the older ones, 18 and up, I'm not sure how it can work, but we definitely have ideas to see how we can get the community involved and police in that community. Thank you so much.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, freeholders and administration, guests, Essex friends, and all citizens. My name is Che Coulter. I'm a parent in the city of Newark, and I just wanted to come before you to first salute the freeholders on a new year. Happy New Year to you all, and we're looking forward to citizens working with the county government in positive ways where we have more things to celebrate than things that divide us. I just wanted to bring to, speaking on to you, Mr. Chair, in some of the municipalities in Essex at large vicinity, we're experiencing challenges with rodents, and some of those municipal leaderships that are in these particular municipalities within the governance of the county, they may need the help of additional zoology services. I don't know what that encompasses. I've never helped to reduce like rodents, but maybe that's something that we could do some kind of study on. Local financial bonding capacity. Several municipalities that are under the County of Essex, some of those municipalities are running very short on cash because they don't have very strong tax bases that they can just raise the taxes. And I am needing the help of this body, this formal body, Mr. Chairman, to help school districts that are going to need more debt service to fund buildings and other things in their districts, and they'll have to have a capital budget with their local school districts along with the state aid that's already there. That this board has helped those municipalities maintain that funding, so we thank the freeholders for that. In closing, I just wanted to say I heard language that there was new resolution adopted or passed in reference to bylaws, but moving forward, if we can have a bipartisan theme with freeholders changing. I remember the days of Miss Libby Jones being here, the late great, and she passed legislation with some of the freeholders who are still there. So the freeholders who are newer freeholders, speak to those other freeholders about what it's like to establish the affirmative action ordinance and other ordinances that, and I know some members of the public criticized him earlier, Mr. Joe D. Mr. Joe D helped get that affirmative action ordinance signed. And those other prerogatives that are issues of national security, that's not anything a county government makes up out of their night. The federal government has placed burdens on our county, and I think sometimes the way the public gets that information, those municipal leaderships, Mr. Chairman, that are in your at-large area need to stop dividing our country and work with whoever's president, whether it's the next president. I wish it was Obama could have been president forever, but this body needs to be able to work with any leadership at the federal level. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for your time, and God bless this body and our country.
Thank you. Seeing that there's no one else wishing to speak at this time, freeholder comment session. Freeholders, do we have any comments you would like to make? Vice President Richardson.
Thank you, Mr. President. While I applaud the Attorney General and helping folks with the opioid addiction, giving them treatment in lieu of jail time, I wonder if anybody knows if there's an appetite to go back to some of those folks who are incarcerated now or just recently incarcerated who are opioid addicted and getting them out and getting them some treatment. Or just going back when all of the people, they were bad people, they needed to be incarcerated. Now that they're all good people, is there an appetite to go back and help some of those folks who now have a felony record because of opioid addiction? I don't know if anybody can answer that.
We can get back to that on Freeholder, but there is a very active opioid treatment in the facility now. It actually has been expanded. We just jumped into a new program to expand it quite materially. But we'll get back to you on that program before the next meeting.
Thank you. Well, just my question was not that if they're getting treatment now, which treatment they should get while they're incarcerated, but is there an appetite to go back and wipe their convictions clean?
Oh, okay.
Freeholder Palmeris?
Two things. I think Ms. Gallo brought up a very interesting point earlier today, better known as Mama Meow, if I may. And I think that's one of the things that we can rest assured is that there is fairly inconsistency in the volunteer groups throughout the county because the issue is of greater importance or a greater need in some communities than there are in the other. And so I would hope that in this pilot program that when we go through the process of this year of using the mobile unit to help to trap and neuter and spay, that we can quantify some of the data that would help us to identify the partners that are more able, if you will, to trap, and more importantly, identify the neighborhoods that have a crisis that really can't trap. I think it's very important to do that. I know in Bloomfield we're very fortunate that we have a very strong volunteer base, and it really helps the municipality quite a bit in terms of being able to execute their projects and the programs that they have there and the shelter and et cetera. But I'm not sure that that's the case for every town, and I certainly don't qualify myself as an expert, and I know Ms. Gallo probably has a much better sense than most of us here about that. But I think that's part of the parameters that we should try to institute this year as we're going through this project of funding the mobile unit. The second part, I'd like to, and if I may, on behalf of my colleague, Freeholder Luciano, I want to thank the staff for tonight's program earlier this evening. For those who weren't here, we acknowledged 5 Girl Scout troops. They're not Girl Scouts, but this is the Boy Scouts that has gone co-ed. And we brought them here today to acknowledge them because they are breaking the glass ceiling, if you will, for many of them. And among them was my daughter, who for many years watched my sons participate in Cub Scouts and then move on. And while she was there, she wasn't really participating officially, although our troop has always been very accommodating, I think, in the days before I went co-ed. And it was very important, I think, today to acknowledge those young ladies here as they are groundbreaking. I know my daughter rides real high in thinking that what she's doing is the first time girls have ever done in Bloomfield, and I'm sure that, I don't know, there were like 70 or 80 girls here today who probably feel the same way, and very happy parents. So I want to thank my colleague Luciano for sponsoring with me. I want to thank the rest of the colleagues who joined us at some point, and we apologize we got a little late start to the meeting, but there were a lot of pictures to be taken for many smiling faces, so thank you.
Absolutely, thank you, Freeholder Palmeris, and no problem at all. If we're going to start a few minutes late, that's absolutely the best reason to start a few minutes late. So
as good as any.
Absolutely, and for whatever reason, we've been able to move fairly quickly tonight. So
should I make a motion to adjourn? Is that?
No, Freeholder Luciano has something to say.
Yeah. Through you, Mr. President, again, I want to just to concur with my colleague, Freeholder Palmeris. It was a great night, and I know that it was nice to see so many young girls here tonight. You know, and even Freeholder Palmeris' daughter who spoke at the mic that said, you know, for years I sat watching my brother or brothers, you know, participate in such fun activities, and it's just so nice now to be able to sit next to them and participate in such of the same way. And that being said, of course, we are champions of women, you know, and I know it was brought up tonight for holding elected office, and I just want the women on this board to know that that was also brought up, that there are women that sit on this board that do an outstanding job, and we want to see more women involved in government, civics, and politics on all levels of government. One other thing, I know we don't normally traditionally answer constituents at the mic, but I just want to dispel and answer our constituent who came before us a few minutes ago from West Orange. I was in Puerto Rico last week, and I can assure you that there were no county resources used. And just for the record, our county executive was in New Jersey. He was not in Puerto Rico. So I know that you had gotten a letter and you didn't see any of your questions answered. I hope that that helps you sleep a little easier tonight, and if there's any other questions, we would be happy to answer them for you. That being said, I have nothing else to say. Thank you, Freeholder President.
Okay. Freeholder's additional comments, questions? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Motion.
Second.
See you here.
Couldn't even get it out.